Hi everyone, welcome to a quant strategy video from iQuanta. This video will be mainly for CAT 26 students who are preparing for CAT 26 and are looking for a strategy for quant. What can be your strategy for the next 10 months, 11 months, whatever that is, approximately 300 days which you have. What will be your strategy and how should you start studying? What should be your plan? All those things will be discussed. Okay, so we'll first start with the weightage of topics in CAT Quant. We're looking at it as percentage wise by each area. So arithmetic, as you know, if anybody's heard me speaking earlier also, will always agree that that's the most important topic in CAT Quant. In terms of your weightage, in terms of understanding, also in terms of usage of that topic in DILR, because you need to know percentages, you need to understand ratios, all those things mixed together. You need to know arithmetic really well, approximately 40% weightage from arithmetic. The next important topic, which over the last 4-5 years has become consistent with CAT, which was not so much earlier. If you look at CAT, say 14, 15, all that, algebra was never very, very important. But over the last few years, algebra has become very important. Very good weightage of close to 24%. Okay, it will include topics like obviously your equations like linear, quadratic, but very, very importantly, it will include like maxima, minima, functions, all those areas will be covered, and that will cover 24% of CAT Quant. After that comes geometry, which is approximately 15%. It would cover everything from your school day geometry and a little bit from your 11th and 12th geometry also, but mainly everything from say standard 8 to standard 10th geometry. Every single topic which you studied there can be asked over here. Then there is number system or numbers as you would want to call it, which will include topics like HCF, LCM, a little bit of surds, indices, and so on, so on. All these include 12%. And then there is modern maths, which is approximately 10%, which can have some amount set theory, Venn diagram. CAT 25 had a direct question on Venn diagram and a little bit of permutation combination. Probability has gone down like completely in CAT. CAT does not ask probability at all. In fact, in CAT 24, there was something from permutation combination and a Venn diagram also. So the weightage is close to 10%. Normally, when I ask a student, when students ask me, sir, what is the areas we should start with? My advice is very simple. Always start with arithmetic first. That will be like your standard first topic to do. No brainer. You have to start doing that. And post that, pick up algebra or geometry depending on your comfort. So a lot of non-engineering students, a lot of commerce students, have a problem maybe with a little bit with both of them. They can do half of each of them, or depending on how good you are with a particular topic, you can pick up algebra or geometry first and then vice versa. Now, again, there are some topics which I will explain when I explain the individual breakup weightage, that these topics, they maybe don't appear directly in CAT, but will have some importance in understanding other topics. So breakup of arithmetic, within that also, if you look at the highest part is time, speed, distance, and then work, pipe, and distance. Obviously, time, speed, distance being the most asked topic, 8.3%. Okay, and this 8.3% is out of 100%, not only of arithmetic. Okay, so 8.3 out of 100%. So you total this up, this comes up to approximately 39-40%. So 8.3% is approximately time, speed, distance. Every single year, every single slot, at least one, sometimes two questions are also asked from time, speed, distance. So you have to be ready for that. You have to be very, very well prepared. Then there is work, pipe, and distance, which has good weightage. Averages, profit and loss have good weightage. Percentage directly has good weightage. So understand all these topics will become very important. Okay, but you can't prepare in any random order. Okay, you can't say, okay, time, speed, distance is important, so I'll start preparing with time, speed, distance first. The preparation more or less should be in the order which we have given over here, because this helps you to understand the topics, other topics. Like if you understand percentage and especially ratios really well, you will do well at time, speed, distance, and time and work. And percentage, if you know well, you can do profit and loss, simple interest, compound interest. So all this way, it is very important to have the areas in or the order in which you want to prepare each topic. Just don't randomly start preparing for a topic, and that is how so your weightage, based on your weightage, yes, you can practice. Once you go into the practice stage, you can start practicing more of a particular topic. And also it will help you understand that, yeah, you can't leave time, speed, distance alone that way. Let's look at algebra. Algebra, as I said, will have linear equations, quadratic equations. Quadratic equations over the last few years has really been asked a lot. One question I would say minimum in every slot is quadratic equation. Okay, so please prepare for quadratic equation really well. Functions, similarly, in every slot there is one question most of the times. Then the other topics which you have are inequalities, polynomials, maxima, minima, plotting of algebraic functions. Now, the bottom four topic together might have one or two questions depending on which slot you have writing the CAT in. And linear equations, anyway, you'll have to know the basics of linear equation to solve any other topics also. So it's not that you can leave linear equations and say, okay, then I will do the other topics. You can't do that. But if you have to really concentrate on something of algebra, and you're not very good with algebra, I would say such as the first three chapters, linear, quadratic, and functions. Do those three topics well. You've covered a good part of the CAT syllabus also. That's close to 13% of the CAT syllabus. And you also would have, you are also ready for other areas. So if you're not very good with algebra, these are the three areas you should concentrate on. That is my suggestion. Coming to geometry, except triangles, the weightage is more or less same all other topics except trigonometry. Trigonometry again is a topic which you should do only when you're really thorough with everything else. Don't get into trigonometry when you're still say 50% in all other areas. Trigonometry is one of those last areas with permutation combination I always advise people to do. Don't rush towards it so much. Yes, from trigonometry you can do heights and distances, which can be an easy topic, but otherwise direct trigonometry I'm sure a lot of students are not comfortable with. Again, students who've done science in 11th, 12th will be comfortable with trigonometry. So otherwise, triangles, quadrilateral polygons, circles and 3D, that is mensuration, 3D figures will be the topic on 3D figures and mensuration will be mainly based on formulas. So if you are aware of formulas, you should be able to solve such areas well. But if you're looking at concepts, also remember geometry is one area which is highly concentrated with concepts. There are so many concepts you need to know. Everybody remembers Pythagoras theorem. How many people remember similarity? How many people remember Apollinar's theorem? And so many such properties, the tangent secant theorem, the alternate segment theorem. There are so many names to give over here that these topics are geometry is very highly concentrated with concepts. So the more concepts you learn well and you know them well, you will do better at geometry. That's my advice. Coming to numbers. Now, when I look at numbers, property of numbers, see again, a lot of people say, oh, weightage is very low. Should I leave numbers? No, you should not. Let me explain why. Because if you don't understand what's a rational number, what's an irrational number, what's a whole number, an integer, how are you going to actually attempt topics of functions, questions on functions and all? Because those are the things you need to understand. They might not be directly asked, but they will be a part of a question somewhere. Same goes about HCF, LCM. Somebody say weightage is only 0.5%. Yes, 0.5%. But still, if you go to time and work, you will realize the concept of LCM is so useful over there. And so on. You need to know all these topics. You need to know these topics really well. At least you need to understand the concepts and the basic things over here. Okay, like I think property of factors is one very important topic you should know. Surds and indices and logarithms is one of my favorite areas. Between them, they have around 8.5%. Which means again minimum one or two questions as good as time, speed, distance. Just look, if I look at surds and indices plus logarithms, the study time for that would not even be half of what you would require for time, speed, distance, and exactly the same weightage, which means close to one or two questions. If I look at it approximately, it's close to one or two questions from in the CAT paper. Please revise those two topics really well. And I think that, and logarithms, lot of students feel, oh, we've never studied logarithms. How will we ever do it? Sit down once with your mentor, whoever your mentor is, sit down once with him or her. And I always tell people that if you've studied logs for one full day, like proper, give it a 12-hour thing and say studied logs in 12 hours. Once you study it for 12 hours, there are so few concepts, and on the same concepts, more and more questions are asked. And then if you practice regularly, even like say 100, 150 some in the whole year, you will be good enough with logarithms and surds and indices. So that is one area for me which is very important from numbers. You should do them very well. The last in modern maths, progressions I keep over here. Somebody would keep it somewhere else. Doesn't matter too much. Important topic of progression. Probability, so there's a definitely error over there. Probability is 0.5 and permutation combination is 3.3%. That's vice versa. So please excuse us for that. And progressions will be one very, very important area. You'll have to really work well with that topic. Arithmetic. Don't get into very, very difficult areas of this topic. People get carried away and start doing too many difficult topics like arithmetico, geometrico, and those fancy series and all that. Know your basic stuff well. Get your formulas of sum of n numbers, sum of 1 plus 2 plus 3 up till n square till n cube, and then also know your properties like what is the direct AP, GP, infinite GP, very important. Know those topics. I'm sure you will do well. Okay, so if you now break up, if you say from all the topics, which are the most important topics, you make a list of them. And if you really work well towards it, you will realize you're close to 80% with maybe around 14, 15 topics. So there are around 30, 35 topics which you have, out of which that if you prepare well for 14, 15 topics, you're prepared for around 75, 80%. And if you can attempt 75, 80% of the paper, you will be very good. You'll be very, very good. So don't worry about that. Okay. Let's look at the other things. Now, what's your prep plan? Let's talk about a prep plan from, say, let's look at this as, say, 1st January to end of November when you will have CAT. So from here onwards, what will be your phases? These phases are meant for students who are preparing for CAT first time. I will also talk a little bit about at the end for those students who are going to retake the CAT, who haven't done well, say at CAT 24 or 25. It is their second attempt. They had worked decently hard in the first attempt. If it's your second attempt, but you had not worked hard in the first attempt, take it like a first attempt. So this should be your prep plan. So phase 1, build and strengthen fundamentals. Get into calculations. Please do not think just because you have the calculator, you can relax. That's completely a wrong thought process. If you need to use the calculator for every calculation in CAT, I'm telling you, you will not do well. Okay. So don't think too much about calculators. Start strengthening your basic concepts, your basic calculations, approximations with numbers. Learn to use fractions where percentage is concerned, like what is 14.28%? 14.28% is 1 by 7, and so on. Know all those things really well. Start getting into your basic concepts for every topic. This is where I tell people, go through everything, all the concept for a chapter, and learn at least to solve all level A questions. That is the first round, I would say. Ensure all the basic concepts of arithmetic, algebra, number system, geometry are crystal clear. Daily learn a concept and solve easy and basic practice questions. Try and get 1 or 2 concepts on a daily basis. It's actually such a small agenda. If you look at it, it's that way. It's such a small agenda. 1 or 2 concepts. Like the first concept which I talk about in percentages is, say, introduction to percentages. Know how to convert percentage to fraction, fraction to percentage, and then offset or change, percentage offset change. That if something, price of petrol increases by 20%, how much should I reduce my consumption by so that I have the same total expenses throughout the month or whatever. So that kind of questions, those are basic level questions. If you take 2 concepts in a day also and practice easy and basic questions around that, it is not more than 1.5 to 2 hours work per day. I would put it 1.5 hours is very good enough. Okay. Maintain a formula / concept notebook for revision. Whether you do that, you have a system where you have, say, put it in a Word file, or in fact, it's very good to add something to a Word file throughout the year, whether it's a question, whether it's a new concept, something which you really liked. If you can put it back in a Word file or a concept book, it will always help you do well in the towards the end. You will know what to revise at the end. That's always going to make life easier for you. So that's your phase 1. Here don't really go to CAT level questions. Don't keep asking your mentor, so sir, when will we do CAT level questions? Remember, you can't start running a marathon on day 1. You have to do the basic stuff well. You have to practice well. You have to build your muscles well. Exactly. Writing CAT is like preparing for a marathon. It's not like a 100-meter sprint that you'll go. Even a 100-meter sprint doesn't work that way. I am not trying to say that, but it's not like that you'll prepare in the last few days and you will do well. In fact, 2 things, I was just speaking to one of the CAT 25 students who had done well, one was a BBA student from Nirma who had done well. So a couple of things which I want to tell people over here from what I spoke to him and I would like to add is that In his prep plan, he had a very good logical approach. Day one, any one day he would do quant plus LRDI, second day quant plus verbal, third day again quant plus LRDI, and then quant plus verbal, which means he would do quant maybe every day, maybe for a slightly lesser time. So if you have a total of 3 hours for preparation, you could do 1 hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes of quant and the remaining of LRDI, and vice versa. Second day again quant plus verbal. So it always keeps you in touch with quant every day. That's a very good thing. And second is that he did not worry too much about the shortcuts and all that. Don't think too much on the shortcuts. Those shortcuts will come at a much later date. Don't worry about those things initially, and I would suggest that you will start doing well. So these are the 2 things I'll keep in mind. Okay, let's go ahead to phase 2. Practice a mixture of topics. Now CAT, why is CAT so difficult compared to what you study in class or whatever? The questions are actually same. When I solve the questions at the end of the year and I make a video on the YouTube and I put it on the YouTube, people realize that the questions are not very difficult. What happens is the pressure gets to them. Also, a couple of combined concepts get to them. In the same question, they maybe need to use sequence and series also, and they need to use profit and loss also, or something like that. So practice a mixture of topics. Don't practice only one topic. That is where you start using sectional test. You start using test of each module, not chapter wise test, but module wise test. That becomes very important, so that the examiner or whoever setting the test for you also has that, he's going to check you whether check whether you understood profit and loss, and have you been able to use allegations in that topic, something on those lines. Get comfortable with all question types, testing more than one concept too. Like time, speed, distance and geometry is a favorite thing. Are you comfortable using geometry within time, speed, distance and so on? Begin building speed and accuracy. Now comes a very important part, building accuracy. More than speed, I want you to focus on accuracy and question selection. So whenever you are practicing, whether you are practicing 10 sums for homework, whether you're doing 10 sums which are given to you for homework from your class, or whether you are practicing a set of 20-25 sums, always put a timer in front of you and look at it as if it is a test or a section of 40-45 minutes. Because if there is no time pressure, you will always take ample time to do one question and you will always be able to get it. Are you able to do it in that time pressure, or that limited amount of time is the important thing. And that will also help you learn selection. Learn a concept called, as I call as marks per minute. How many marks were you able to get in, say, 5 minutes? Don't look at it every minute. Say in the first 5 minutes, how many questions were you able to solve? Always remember, selection of questions is very important. Once you select the questions well and you start getting them, you start looking at it with saying that, okay, these are the 7-8 questions out of the 20 questions which I will be able to do in 40 minutes. Then comes accuracy, because those are selected questions, which means you should normally be comfortable doing them and hence you should get them right. So speed and accuracy come hand in hand. Rotate topics to avoid bias. We always have a habit, we always keep doing things which we like. Yes, CAT is about sharpening your strong areas, but also we need to manage our weak areas. Like you can't just keep doing arithmetic all the time and algebra all the time. You'll need to go to geometry, you'll need to go to factors, indices, logarithms, sequence and series. If you get to all these topics, I'm sure you will do well. So sharpen these areas and please work on that well. Okay. Rotate topics, as I said. So also rotating topics, and have a cycle that I will finish this cycle, keep coming back. So say January to May is your syllabus completion. Then post May onwards, always have a cycle. I'll keep coming back to these topics. Also, when you write more tests, more mocks, you will know which are your weak areas, which are your strong areas, which areas you need to work on, and so on. Phase 3 comes the most important stage, mocks. I think there is nothing more important than writing mocks for a CAT student. Write enough mocks. And when I use the word enough, I don't say go all out and write 40 mocks, 50 mocks. Maybe it might not help. But write those many mocks which you should be able to analyze well. Because only when you analyze a mock will you have a strategy for it. Your strategy becomes very important. What is your plan for the next mock? What is it that I need to do from this mock to the next mock, which will change my scores and which will at least get me that one extra question right? You will start understanding that importance of one extra right questions when you start missing off cutoffs by very, very small margin. So mock integration, strategic refinement, most important stage. Build strategy, which questions to solve, time allocation, handling pressure, maximizing attempts with keeping a focus on accuracy. So as I said in the previous case also, speed and accuracy go hand in hand. Here you will have to really test it. Are you able to do that in 40 minutes every single time? Also start preparing yourself for a little bit more. One part which I always say over here, which I have not mentioned over here, but I'm going to say that whenever you are writing a mock is 3 sections, right? Which is a 2-hour mock. So you're writing 40 minutes, 120 minutes, you're writing 3 sections. Immediately after a mock, have a habit of solving one more section test, which means another 40 minutes of studying not studying also, but solving something, which means either one quant section test, one verbal or one LRD, or you can just have a rotation. What will that do? What it does is that it also builds your stamina for 2 hours, 40 minutes into 2 hours. In an exam, you will realize the importance of this and you will start doing well. Okay. Towards the end, somewhere around July onwards or August onwards, start solving 1 or 2 full-length mocks weekly. Identify your errors and go back to the drawing board. When I mean go back to the drawing board, so a lot of people feel that, oh, I'm very good at geometry. But when they actually analyze the test, they realize, oh, geometry, I'm not scoring well. You might be good with geometry. Is it overconfidence which is killing you? Or is it you're looking out for too many difficult... Sometimes when we tell ourselves that I'm good with this topic, what happens, we don't judge the question that time. We just say, oh, this is from my favorite topic, I will do it. What happens because of that is that you pick up even a difficult question. And when you pick up a difficult question, you will always be spending more time and the chances of getting it right also become less. Begin tracking speed, accuracy and common error types. Look at the common errors. Are there some specific errors you're making every time? Is it calculation speed? Is it some silly mistakes and so on? Always look out for those things. And then look, always analyze a question not on its own. So suppose you got a question right. A lot of people have a habit that they don't analyze their right questions. Once you got a question right, say in 3 minutes. But what if most of the toppers are getting that question in 30, 40, 50 seconds? And if you spend 180 seconds on it, maybe there is still something you need to know in that concept well. So just because you got a question right doesn't mean you don't analyze it. Always analyze questions really well from mocks. That's your phase 3 and that becomes very, very important part. Okay, this is iQuanta's journey of a lot of students, a lot of 100 percentilers. This year also we've got very good scores. So with iQuanta, we'll have the iCats, and this year with me being here, I'll be looking at each and every iCat video solutions carefully. So I hope you all will have really have some use with those things also. Okay, let's look at a quant score versus percentile over the last few years. This is CAT 24. CAT 24, what was the score versus percentile? So if you look at it, if you don't look at 99.90, if you look at a 99 percentile, which is a very good score in a particular area, then the scores have been approximately, if you look at approximately 50% of the actual score, 50 or slightly more than 50%. So if you score a 50%, say out of 66 marks, if you are able to get 33 marks, you're very close to 99%. And your cutoffs are very, very close to 14, 15 marks, which is barely 5 questions. Cutoff is actually 85 percentile, not even 90 percentile. So cutoff in a particular section is barely at 14, 15 marks, which means around 5 correct questions. Concentrate on accuracy, try to get those things right. Those first 5, 10 questions are going to be the make or break. Understand, if you want to look at 99 percentile and you're looking at a score of 32, 33, it's actually only around 11 to 12 questions. Don't try to think, oh, how will I attempt 22 questions in 40 minutes? You're not supposed to attempt 22 questions in 40 minutes. Okay. This is some of, again, about a student called Siddhi, who had, how she was a non-engineer and how did she start loving quant, how did the assignment classes really help her, and so on. The doubt solving team, 24/7 doubt solving team is helping her. And this is all what we have to offer. So I hope you take help from this video. Plan your whole studies really well. Have that strategy in your mind. Important is strategy. Without a strategy, very frankly, it becomes literally impossible for somebody to crack the CAT. So always have a great strategy. That's very, very important. Even if you start studying a little bit later, 15 days later, but if you have a plan, a strategy that this is going to be my whole 11 months, how they will look, try and have a calendar that these are the months I'm going to have say a hectic month in terms of my college exams or whatever, and hence I need to work somewhere else better. So all these things will really help. Okay, thank you and best of luck, everybody.